America's coming apart, and it's awesome. Now, I know that might not be a popular thing to say, but it's true. Look, this is our history. Americans have always had a lot of disagreements. You go all the way back to the pre-revolutionary period. We have this fantasy that somehow all these colonies got along so well, they all linked arms and they went off to fight Great Britain for their freedom and their liberty. But the truth is they didn't like each other very much. There was a lot of differences between the colonies. There was sectarian Christianity was one of the main differences. There were commerce differences. But they linked arms because there was an existential threat, and they did, thank God, fight for their liberty and freedom. After the war, you would presume, having fought side by side in battle from different colonies, that they would be united, they would come together in a united government. Again, nothing could be further from the truth. They came together, they formed the Articles of Confederation, which were so limited in their power, which gave a central government so little power that it was non-functional. And they did it because they really didn't like each other. They still didn't trust each other. One colony, one state, not willing to give power to another state over their people. So they formed a non-working government, ultimately had to come together again, and they did so in Philadelphia in 1787. And they came together to argue about, to debate, to discuss the idea of a new constitution, a new union among the states. And that government, in that discussion, it was hotly debated. Still, these colonies, these states didn't like each other. They had cultural differences. They had commercial differences. And out of those differences, out of that distrust, out of that dislike for one another, came the greatest government ever for the preservation of liberty among mankind, and that is federalism. That's our heritage, and it's an incredible heritage. Unfortunately, over the intervening centuries, we've largely done away with real federalism in this country. We've centralized power in Washington, D.C. in a federal government. We've taken much of that power away from the states and centralized it. And now we're all governed from one behemoth in Washington, D.C. And what that means is half of us aren't happy at any given moment. The country's divided. The country's coming apart. And again, I think it's a good thing because it takes us back to our history and gives us an opportunity to go back to where we began, and that is back to federalism. We're really blessed. The founders gave us a methodology for getting back to federalism. It's called a Convention of States, and you'll find it in Article 5 of the United States Constitution. The states can get together outside the power of the federal government and return the power to the people and to the states. I recommend you look into it because the country's coming apart, and it's a very good thing.